And welcome to the ceremony of remembrance of Jeff Craft. My name is Reverend Bethany Beatty Chire. I'm a longtime friend of the LaBelle family, and I've been given the honor of moderating this celebration this evening of Jeff's life. Condolences are certainly in order, of course, to Jeff's wife, Robin, his son, Riley, Christine as well, his daughter, Haley, and Chris, his brother, Mark, and Pamela, and his cherished in-laws, Mo and Simone, Joanne and John, Lynn and Dave, Lisa and Paul, and his many nieces and nephews, as well as his numerous friends. Jeff's now joined with his beloved mom and dad, his brother-in-law, Darren Templeton, and his best friend, Pat Hurley. Jeff, Batman, whatever you want to call him. We're going to have a candle ceremony. Candle ceremonies are generally done at a time like this, and it's very important because when you light a candle, it means eternal remembrance. And the old proverb about it is, whoever is remembered and loved never can really die. The Sioux Indians have a wonderful saying that I really like. They say, whoever is, or whenever we speak of him, he is already standing beside us. And that's a beautiful sentiment. A candle ceremony is about sharing and about generosity, because a candle can light another candle only if it shares its own light, just like people. And the spirit of our loved one lives on. And Jeff's spirit and his love will ever be a flame in our hearts, and that can never be extinguished. And the first two lighters, I'd like Mo and Simone to come forward, please. Joanne and John. Lynn and Dave.
To you unbroken, but if our mistakes brought us together, does it really matter whether we were saints or sinners?
Lisa and Paul.
I don't care if I'm your first love, but I'd love to be your last.
Riley and Christine.
All I see is what I'm feeling down inside. And all I'm feeling is this feeling that I finally got it right.
Haley and Chris.
Gonna wrap my arms around
Mark and Pam.
Thank my lucky stars I found you, 'cause I know your heart has so much more than anyone has touched before, and nothing matters more to me than that. I don't care if I'm your first love.
And Robin. California, and up in the California hills is Ronald Reagan's ranch. He's entombed on his own ranch outside. It's gorgeous, this huge thing. And he wrote his own epitaph. And it struck me so much, I tell everyone what it said. And here's what it said. I know in my heart that man is good, that what is right will eventually and always triumph, and that there's purpose and worth to every life. And the late Jack Layton wrote his own too, on his tombstone. And this is what it says. Love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is much better than despair. When someone you love becomes a memory, then you make that memory a treasure. Every life tells a story. Our speakers are now going to share some of Jeff's story with all of you. And first I'd like to call a firefighter and a friend, Mike.
Wait a minute. I didn't know I was going up first.
Come on, just listen what you say.
You didn't pay me like the other ones.
Right now.
Jackson?
Just remember the fun stuff we did.
I will.
Okay. Deal. Yes, ma'am. Sure, I know.
Maybe I was. I'm Mike Jackson. I knew Jeff for a long time. We had a lot of fun together. He was quite a character. Today, all day long, I've been sort of in the back of my mind playing that old Bruce Coburn song, the Coldest Night of the Year. I'm wondering if, well, Jeff would probably say it's coldest day in 40 years. Right?
Biggest storm.
Yeah. I took a little license there.
They say.
Yeah. Anybody think he's looking down on us right now with that sly grin of his and thinking, ha! I got you all to come out on a night like this. I don't know for sure where he is, but I sure would like to think that he has a complete set of Three Stooges movies on a loop, watching them on a big screen TV in a nice, well-appointed gym somewhere. Jeff came on in '76. I got on in late '79, and so he was a bit of a mentor to me. We both had a slightly bent sense of humor, and we got along well because of that. I first met him at Old Station 6 on Sanford Avenue. It was a big old two-story brick building from the turn of the century. It had already been condemned a few times before I ever even saw it. In the winter, the man on watch would have to go downstairs to the boiler room 2 or 3 times a day and add water so it didn't explode and blow up the building. But that's the world we lived in. The best part was, though, there was 3 large sash windows on the 2nd floor at the front of the building. I overlooked the street. And the guys used to like to sit in the window in the hot summer days and just sort of enjoy the breeze and watch the world go by. Not Jeff. No, not Jeff. He would sit in the window all right. But he decided he was going to show me how to attach a clear fishing line to a quarter, lower it down to the street, and wait for pedestrians to come by. When they did, yank it up, cackle like Curly from the Three Stooges, and duck down behind the window. He was always better at that than I was. Robin! Did you know Jeff was a world-class fire hydrant surfer? I bet you didn't.
No.
They had a house fire on East Avenue one day, around noon. The practice back then was that the first arriving pump, the officer and the nozzle man, would grab a hose and run into the building. Without a Scott mask. We didn't have enough of them to go around back then. The hydrant man would hook up to the hydrant, go back to the rig, get his mask on, go in and relieve the nozzle man. You remember, Rick. Um, oh, I was a hydrant man. So I got the plug, hooked up the gate valve on one side, started to hook up the hose on the other side when Jeff and the second-in pump arrived. Jeff yelled, "I got it, go!" Meaning, go get your mask on, get in there. Thanks, Jeff, but I guess I had not communicated that I had only just started to put the hose on the hydrant. Coupling. As I reached the rig to get my mask, I turned to put my mask on just in time to see the coupling let go and wash Jeff down the street about 25 feet, ass surfing on East Avenue. With his legs in front of him and his arms and hands up like this, like he was riding some kind of invisible motorcycle. Should have seen the look on his face. Robin, did you know that Jeff was a demolition expert?
Well, depends.
He could make you drop a pot on the stove and fill your pants at the same time.
Oh, these guys know.
Yeah, most of the stations had gas stoves back then, and Jeff always had firecrackers. He could tuck a firecracker in underneath the burner in such a fashion that you could not see the wick, and you'd light up the stove, put your lunch on, and 2 seconds later, it would blow up, your heart would stop, and he would yell, "Hey, you blowed up real good." Yeah. Some of us got smarter and would check before we lit the stove, but he would still get us from time to time. Just one more Jeff story. There must be a million of them. Jeff and his legendary sense of humor, and sadly, didn't manage to pull off his finest gag that was never realized. It didn't happen. During the 3 or 4 years that we were together at Station 11, we had an oddly high number of officers come and go for some reason. One in particular got Jeff's attention above all. This guy could snore like a diesel chainsaw. Some said that the bulldog on the front of the Mack fire trucks was modeled after him. Now you know who I'm talking about, don't you? He was a heavy-set man, usually in a wrinkled, stained white shirt and emitting a myriad of smells, none of them pleasant. However, he liked to keep his hair tidy. With a couple of applications of hairspray a day, Lady Patricia, as I recall, in his locker. Well, Jeff thought and plotted and planned all manner of gags to pull on this guy, and then it hit him. The mother of all gags. The atomic bomb of gagdom. The one that would cement his name in the Gag Hall of Fame at the top of the heap for all time. He would switch the label on the Lady Patricia with a can of fluorescent orange spray paint. Yeah, that's our job. He actually went to a couple of stores to check the feasibility of this project, but it was not to be. The Lady Patricia labels could not be removed without being ruined. We were all crushed. Never got off the ground. Robin? There must be a million Jeff stories that I could tell, and not just the ones on the HFD. He was an amazing guy. You're an amazing woman. At the top of this, I said, I don't know where Jeff is for certain, but I'm wrong. He must be in heaven because both of you have been through hell.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Wow, you're tall. I knocked myself out here. We'll stand on the stage. I'd like to call our next speaker, who is a firefighter and a friend also, and it's Rob.
Hello, everyone. Mike Jackson's always been a hard person to follow, and again, I have to follow this guy. Tough act. Anyhow, I didn't get a chance to work with Jeff until around 1996, about 15 years on the job. I started on a couple different shifts and eventually got moved to A Squad. And I got promoted around 1996, and as a lieutenant, back then we had lieutenants, and in Station 11, Rain George was my first station as a lieutenant. At the station at the time I came in, I had there was Jeff, of course, there was Mike Toth, there was Thurston Howe, Kevin Howe, better known as Thurston by Jeff, and of course there was Hoffa, Neil Shaw, and again named by Jeff. In the early days, like I said, there was days I'd go home, my face was hurting from laughing so much. But as you know, all the jokes, and as a matter of fact, I've got a firecracker story also. Jeff was famous for the firecrackers and things like that. But yeah, like I said, Jeff was always joking and a funny guy. Now, of course, I went off script. That's what I normally do. One day, Jeff was at the fire complex near, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 years before he retired. And Jeff, the training complex, and he broke his ankle. And then not too long later after that, as we see by the pictures.
I did it first.
Oh, okay, sorry, see, I was wrong. But Robin did it first, so Jeff had the copy. So there's the two of them. So Jeff, it was a pretty tough break, and he broke it up pretty good. And one day Jeff came into work and he was due to get some operation on his ankle. And we all know how much Jeff loved doctors. He didn't like dentists, nothing like that. So Jeff comes to work one day and he's saying, I had a dream last night. I go, oh, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, and he tells me that he doesn't like doctors. And I go, yeah. He goes, I dreamt that my doctor was wearing a cowboy hat and doing cartwheels all down through the operating room. This is his doctor. So it didn't make Jeff feel much better for going into his operation not too long after that. So Jeff, like I said, Jeff was always telling us funny stories. The other day, Robin posted a couple of things and mentioned that if you got pranked by Jeff, you've made it. Jeff never pranked me, maybe because I was an officer when I showed up. I don't know, but I sure saw a lot of pranks from all the other guys, and I enjoyed laughing at the other guys with them. But anyway, there was a firefighter that showed up at stage 11. His name was Fred. I won't use his last name. He's here tonight. And Fred was, we have these tests to keep our licenses. You have to get, it's called an air brake test. And apparently Fred was going to get this air brake test. And Jeff, being the loving, caring, helpful person that he is, he said, Fred, I'll help you. I'll help you study for the test for this afternoon. So Fred says, okay, but Jeff says, you know what, really though, he says, the best way to learn the system is looking at the piping underneath the rig, because that's where all the air brakes and where all the lines run. So Fred says, okay, no problem. So Fred goes down underneath, and Fred's being, just being helpful. He's asking some questions, pointing out some lines that's going on. Unbeknownst to Fred, out comes the firecracker. So, and before I say what happened, we all know what happened, but Fred was a very nice man. He's here tonight, very religious man. And Jeff did have a goal. Apparently he wasn't the orange head, but this was another thing, that Fred never swore. Well, firecracker was lit, firecracker went underneath. Next thing you hear, excuse me ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to offend anybody, but you hear the loudest bang, and the next big loudest fuck underneath the ladder, or underneath the rig. So Jeff said he thought that was probably one of his best he ever did. So. Yeah, right. So I'm keeping it kind of short. That's all I've really got. Just a couple simple stories. They said kept everybody on their toes with the firecrackers. Fred got back to Jeff many times because Fred was a chemist before he got on the fire department. And what Jeff used to do with the firework, well, Fred was a chemist, and I don't know what chemical it was, but Fred could dip the wick of the firecracker in this chemical, and you put it somewhere, and eventually, just through the oxygen, it will self-ignite. So Fred got Jeff back probably many times himself. So Jeff probably didn't tell those stories. So like I said, basically that's all I got. Jeff was a funny man. Jeff was a great guy. They said in early days before I got to work with him, I saw him many times at Mellows and at tracks. And all I used to think was, man, I'm glad he's on my side if something happens. So, Jeff, we're going to miss you. You're a great guy. Robin, a great lady. And everybody enjoy themselves tonight.
Thank you, Rob. Now I'm going to call up another firefighter and a friend, Peter.
Well, we've already heard a lot of really nice stories about Jeff. I'm sure some of them are.
You just tell the bad one.
No, I'm going to tell a really heartfelt story, give you his good character and how nice he was to all us guys. This evening's about celebrating the character that was Jeff, so I'd like to tell a story that I've told many times, and I'm sure quite a few of you have heard it. So if you have, please bear with me, and I probably will mention Fred's last names later. When I started at the fire department, I started at Station 1, but they soon realized that I would fit in better with the broken misfit toys over at 11. So they sent me over to be with Jeff and all the other guys. That's where I met Jeff, and I worked with him for a few years. Station 11 in those days was very small, and you got to know each other, and you got to like each other or kill each other. So it became obvious that Jeff liked me, and I knew if there was an issue, he would have my back. As a senior firefighter, Jeff, he always imparted his wisdom to me whenever I screwed up, which was quite often. And many, many times he would come up to me and quietly saying, he would say, yeah, don't do that, yeah. So my story, I've only got one story, so it was about a warm night in May 12th, 1991. It's a very funny story about me being electrocuted and Jeff providing the punchline for the evening. It was a warm Sunday night, and I brought in all the fixings for banana splits to have with our dinner after we had dinner with our dessert. But in between finishing dinner and before we started dessert, we got a call to go to Station 10's district to help them out with a small fire they were having. It was just not much of a fire, just some smoke behind a sign on top of a storefront or a little strip mall. After a few minutes there, I got called up to the top of a 20-foot ladder to help hold up the metal frame outside the sign, while the other guys poked around trying to find what the cause of the fire was. Within a few minutes, somebody had moved the wire and electrified the whole sign. My hand went like this. So that's where the story gets real funny.
Speak into that microphone so they can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It's the best part of the story, Pete.
Yeah, okay, this is where the story gets real funny. So I'm up on top of this ladder, passed out, and a lot of this has been told me because I've passed out, so I didn't know what was going on. And it also shows the depth of compassion and the firefighters have for each other when we're seriously injured. Passed out on top of this ladder, and Kenny Cole, he comes over, he has the good sense to kick my hand off the sign and grab me at the same time so I don't fall down the ladder. And so he says to Fred Krasinski, he said, Fred, come up and get him. Fred goes, I'm not touching him. He's probably still alive. And he goes, no, I'm pretty sure he's dead. Come and get him. So they brought me down the ladder, and I'm laying on the ground. I'm going in and out of consciousness, kind of doing this. And guys are coming over once in a while and checking on me. And my very good friend, Dave Graham, he came around and he says to me, he leaned down and said, you know, when you're being electrocuted, you scream like a girl. And so, you know, the highlight of the night and the point of this whole Jeff story is I'm laying there, and just before they put me in the ambulance, Jeff comes over and he gently shakes me and brings me out of unconsciousness, and he says, Pete, he goes, if you don't live, can I have your banana split? That's enough, I think.
Thank you, Peter. And now I'd like to call on Jeff's brother, Mark.
Yeah, I guess I better. It's tall enough. Got the extended model. Hi, everyone. It's an honor and privilege for me to pay tribute to a very special person in my life, my big brother, Jeff. Jeff lived his life to the fullest and touched so many, and as you can see it with so many people here. I know Jeff would only want happy stories to share with you guys, and there's so many, I don't know where to begin. There's just not enough time for all of them, but I'd like to share a few of them. Some of my fondest memories are from our childhood growing up on Sunninghill. For those of you who remember the steel pipe that ran from the mountain park down to the escarpment, also known as the pipe, you can appreciate this story. Jeff was a member of the Sunninghill Daredevil Club, and part of the regular activities were to see who could slide down the pipe the fastest. Jeff consistently had the fastest time, and not to be outdone, changed the game by sliding down head first. For some time, our mom would hear stories of the pipe, and she thought nothing of it until one time she was at the park with her dad and saw the infamous pipe. Well, she put it into her sliding days, or so she thought. Jeff's athleticism was amazing. He was a master of walking on his hand. I don't know if anyone ever saw him do that, but you really had to see it to believe it. He had special gloves made, and he would walk down the street. And when he was in school, he would get on his hands, and his friends would put his books on his feet, and he'd walk into the classroom. It was something amazing. And as far as I know, he still holds the chin-up record at Sherwood High School. He would just pull and pull and pull. And then when Jeff got his Mustang bicycle, he mastered wheelies. And he would just drive around the neighborhood on one wheel. And then he went on to get his motorcycle license on the Honda Mini Trail. And that's just, he got to Bonneville, and from then on he's just had a love for motorcycles and for throughout his life. I wouldn't read the speech, but I guess I should just say it. I think part of Jeff being a professional firefighter was caused by his brother. I had a laboratory as a child in the basement. We went to see a matinee, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and we got off the bus, and lo and behold, my laboratory went up in flames. And the fire department was out, and we thought that was so cool. And until my dad got home. Until Don got home, Robin, you can imagine. We spent that summer in the Coach and Four Motel because, to get the house, but Jeff was just in awe with the firemen. And I guess the last thing is Jeff and I, we shared an apartment at Century 21, and I think Robin will appreciate this. It was like the odd couple. If there was a dish in the sink, it was washed. And I was just, and I think at that time period, sales for Levant's 50 went through the roof. Anyways, I just want to say how much we're going to miss Jeff, and I really love him as a brother. He's a great brother. Thanks.
Are there any more tall people?
Let's make it easy, guys. It's wireless.
Okay, I couldn't have figured that out. Now I'm going to call on Jeff's sister-in-law, Lisa.
Oh, you are making me so happy.
I don't know if I need my glasses or, I can't do that.
It's okay.
I have to put this back here. I know, I'll see if I can get it there. I can't just go like that. You guys do that.
Riley said get it down, he's next.
I'm doing it for you, Riley. All right, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about Jeff and Robin's relationship. There's been obviously lots of great stories about the fire department, and just so I wanted to share some of the slides and some of the stories there. So I guess most people know that Robin and Jeff love to go to Florida. And last fall, when they went and planned their trip to Florida in October, they actually knew at that time that Jeff's cancer was back. And so they said to themselves, we're just going to make this the best trip ever so we can build the memories from this vacation, because in this case, third time wasn't going to be the charm. So they did everything that they loved to do so much while they were down there, and one day they rent a boat. And as Jeff as captain of the boat, and they were out on the water all day having a great time with a few cocktails being involved, and Robin, you know, acting up on the boat as first mate and doing a bunch of R-billies, and we're at sea and all kinds of stuff. And they just had a fantastic day out on the water, and again, a few more cocktails were had, and by the time they got back to the condo and they sat down for supper, Robin had kind of hit the wall. And as she tells it, she was like, kind of like one eye and trying to lift her fork up, and Jeff said, "You are my little pirate. But I think you need to go to bed." so off she trotted to bed, and I think if you watch the slide presentation, you'll see the note that he is. So that became a little bit of a joke for them since the last fall, that every time there was a too many partaking, it was you were a little pirate. So our bellies. So fast forward to last Thursday, and I got a call from Robin, and she asked for Paul and I to come because, as you mentioned, a few people mentioned already, Jeff hated hospitals, hated doctors, no offense to any doctors, but didn't want to have anything to do with that, was adamant that he was not going to be taken into the hospital. But his pain was so out of control, Robin was at a loss and said, can we come and help take him to the hospital, because she knew he wasn't going to go. And in fact, when Paul and I got there, he was adamant that he was driving himself. So we're like, which car do you want to go in? He's like, I'm driving. So anyway, so we get him to the hospital, and he's got his coat on. Jeff is very, you know, as we know, has a lot of pride and always carried his stature very well. And that day, he was still that way. And he had his coat on and his riding boots, and he fiddled with his jeans all day to make sure that he was still looking good when we were in that hospital all afternoon. But, you know, he just stayed in the wheelchair. And Robin and I tried everything to say, you know, get comfortable. Why don't you lay in the bed? Why don't you go in the comfortable chair? And he was like, I'm staying in the wheelchair. I'm fine in the wheelchair. Because there was, I think, some of that pride thing, but I also think that he thought, I'm out of here. I got this wheelchair, and I'm out of here if they try to keep me. So I think he wanted that little bit of escape route. So it was just interesting that he was just always still acting as his old self, even though he was in a lot of pain. And at that time, it was very, very difficult for him there. But in Jeff, true, as you said, he was very caring and loving with Robin. And everybody who came to help him that afternoon, he said thank you. He was very thankful for everything that everybody was doing for them. But he made it known to everybody or anybody who would listen that he was done. That he knew that the end was here and he was done and he just wanted it to be over. And I know, and I'm not saying that to make it sad for everybody, but to make everybody know that how good he was with it. He was just at that place that there was nothing left for anybody to do for him. So, you know, we struggled, and I have to say that I told Robin and Jeff that afternoon I was honored just to be there and share that private time with them, because I would have left. They wanted me to stay, and I was honored to be part of this, which turned out to be the last day that they spent together. So some of these stories that I wouldn't have had been privy to, I was glad that I was there for that. And so when everybody would say, you know, he said, yeah, as I mentioned, that he was ready to go, and he said also selfishly, it's not for me, it's for Robin. I want to go because I know it's getting really difficult for her, and Robin would have done it for however many more months or years it had taken, but he knew that it was starting to tax on her, so that was it. That was why he was ready. So when the doctor came in later in the afternoon, after we had spent quite a time and they were starting to give him pain medications, and the doctor, he came in, he was just wonderful. And he said, you know, I am so sorry. Everything that we thought we could do for you, it just hasn't worked out the way we planned. And I'm sorry that we're just going to do everything we can to make you comfortable. And this is probably only going to last a couple of weeks. And Jeff went. So Robin and I were crying along with the assistant that was there with the doctor, and just like giving a big, you know, thumbs up and everything. And we're like, I look at the doctor and I said, can you believe that when you give someone a prognosis like that, they give you a thumbs up? And he's like, actually, I do get it. I don't understand it, but I know where Jeff's coming from, that he's so good with it. And the reason he was is because Robin and Jeff had such a special relationship, and they'd had all this time together to say everything, to say all the things and share all the wonderful memories and say their goodbyes. And so he even said to the doctor, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. It happens so fast, and they don't get to share what we've got to share. So we've said, in Jeff's words, there is nothing left unsaid. And that's why he was good with it. So I guess I'd just like to say that Jeff left this world knowing without a doubt that Robin loved him very much. And Robin, you stay on this world with us knowing that Jeff loved you without a doubt so very much. So to Batman and Robin forever.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'm going to call on Jeff's son and daughter, Riley and Haley.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is Riley. I'm Jeff's stepson. I'd like to share a few words about him. It's been part of my life for about 24 years now, and long enough that I can barely remember what my childhood was like without him. The one thing I can tell you that made him the happiest was my mom, and my mom him. So, although we've been overshadowed by the sad occasion that's brought us all here together today, this is a celebration of life, the celebration of a hero, a husband, and a father. To say goodbye to a man that we've all cared for and loved in our own individual ways. But I can also tell you that my stepdad would not want us to be sad today. He would want you to remember the times you spent together and smile. So I know that I've had enough memories of my stepdad to last a lifetime, and 99% of those memories will always make me laugh and smile. That other 1% of those memories, though, happened when I was much younger, and in all likelihood I probably had it coming. And now looking back at them, they make me smile now too. So Jeff's sense of humor was one of a kind, even old school. Full of gags and pranks, finding humor in some things when others would be gasping at it. So that's something I really loved about him. So I've heard recently too, obviously, that we've also heard that it's been an honor to be pranked by Jeff over his 30 years at the fire department. That also meant that he probably liked you. So he must have loved my sister and I because he pranked us a lot. And where he got that supply of ladyfingers, I have no idea. But that was his way of showing my sister and I how much he cared for us, and his way of showing his love for us. I guess you could say that I owe Jeff the credit and or blame for my sense of humor where I might have gotten it from. So, Jeff in my eyes is one of the last true gentlemen. I hold all of his life lessons and all the little things that he's all the little things that he's taught me, what to be chivalrous and to be a man in this world, and I take those very dear and dear to my heart. I can still hear him say, think about it. Think before you act, and watch your eyes.
Take your hat off.
Yeah, take your hat off the tip in the house. If I can only take every lesson that he's given me and teach those to my kids one day, a part of him will always be with me and be with my family as it continues to grow. So, I could honestly go on forever about all the stories that he's given me, but I gotta assume most of you have plans tomorrow because it's Valentine's Day. One word that keeps coming to mind to me when I think about Jeff is respect, and how to be respected, and how to respect everything else around you that deserves your respect. It could not have been easy for Jeff to slide into a relationship with my mom with a previous marriage with 2 kids. But he did, and I could have been more glad that he did. So he made my mom happy, and that's all that really mattered. And it never stopped. I'll never stop loving him for that. So, there's a special place in heaven for a hero like Jeff, a hero who was running into the buildings while others were running out. It takes a special type of person to live the life that he did and touch so many people throughout his life. Words can't describe how much he will be missed and how much he has meant to all of us. Jeff, I hope that I always make you proud, and hope to be half as good of a father as you've been to me over my childhood. I just simply want to say thank you. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for loving Mom. Thank you for everything you've ever done for us. We love you and we'll always miss you.
So, to be honest, I didn't actually prepare anything. Every time I went to write something down, I don't really think there's anything that can describe what he did to my life. He's been in our lives for most of my life, for all of my life. And I don't think anybody can actually explain to you the influence he's had on my brother and myself and my mom. So I didn't prepare anything, because I didn't know what else to say besides thank you for coming out and celebrating his life and the amount of love that he shared with everybody and us and taking care of us. And thanks for coming.
Thank you, both of you, Riley and Haley. And now, Robin.
I like singing. I don't like public speaking. Then sing it, Robin.
Yeah.
Well, just to repeat what the kids have already said, thank you to all of you for being here tonight. Ow. This is the first time I've stood up and looked around. Wow, what a fabulous room full of people. This would mean the world to Jeff. It really would. And he would be so honored. And I'm so honored that each and every one of you took the time to come out here tonight to spend this evening with myself and my kids and my family and Jeff's brother Mark and his sister-in-law Pam. My sisters and my kids helped me all this week and this afternoon to put this together. And it's been a really busy week, thank goodness, so I haven't had too much time to focus on sadness, and I prefer not to, because we really didn't live our life sad. We really chose for the last few months that we knew that he wasn't going to be around for long, that we were going to live our lives as happy and full of light and love as much as we possibly could. I think we accomplished that. So to my family and friends, to my family, there's not enough words to say thanks. I had a script and I'm obviously not even paying attention to it. going to try to keep this short and sweet because Jeff would always say to me, "Oh, I hate long goodbyes." He'd say, "Okay, we're leaving in a half an hour. Do you want to start saying goodbye to everybody now?" Jeff and I were together 24 years, 5 months, and 18 days. And there's not enough minutes left in this world for me to say that I had enough time with him. But every minute that I had was special. No, I'm lying. It was great. It wasn't perfect. We were not perfect. We had a great marriage. We were the best of friends. He was the best husband, he was the best friend, he was the best man I could have asked for, he was the best stepfather that I could have ever been lucky enough to have for Riley and Haley. And I'm so glad that you feel that he taught you something, because that would matter to him a great deal. And Mark, Pam, so glad to have you in our lives. It's really great. My mom and dad, you've been there through everything. Everybody, Jeff suffered for almost 7 years. And through thick and thin, no matter what, if I needed a ride to the hospital, down to the hospital, 12 hours later I'd call, "Can someone pick me up?" And someone in my family was always there for us, and thank goodness. I can't tell you how lucky I am and how lucky I feel. I have many stories to tell you about our years together, but if I did, like Riley said, you got Valentine's Day, but my stories would keep you here till Monday. So, simply put, we loved each other deeply. We had no secrets from one another, and we trusted each other. We always had each other's backs. Jeff put me first, always. Right to the very end, as Lisa said, Jeff was thinking of me. He was the best example of a gentleman that I could ask for, to set a stellar example for my kids. He taught them to laugh and to be goofy. Who else blows up their stepkids with ladyfingers? Or traps his brother in the bathroom and throws one under the door and says, "Hey kids, watch what we're gonna do to Uncle Mark." Every day was a laugh with Jeff. All the tricks he played on his schmoes. Do you guys know why he called them his schmoes? Stooges. From the Three Stooges, that's his schmo and his schmoette. I called Jeff my Batman for his incredible fight to live since 2009. A good friend messaged me on Wednesday and told me that our relationship was an inspiration to all married couples and gave hope to single people that good marriages are out there. I messaged back that I had laughed out loud in a joyous, heartfelt way because we, Jeff and I, two strong-minded people, we could argue like titans. We were far from perfect, but we loved hard, and staying together as the team we were was always the only option. One story I do want to tell you is from our first vacation together. I think you guys have seen the picture up there with the red velvet wallpaper and the mirrored ceilings. Well, that's our very first vacation together when we'd been dating for 10 months and Jeff took me to Florida in an unair-conditioned car in July and lands me in a resort with a decor of a condominium a la 70s porn. But we had a blast, it was a lot of fun. Jeff has always called that 10-day holiday our real honeymoon because that was the time that we decided that we'd never be apart. So that silly vacation had a special place in our heart always. One night we went up to the bar and it was karaoke night. And I had never said to Jeff in the 10 months that we've been dating that I like to sing. So we're sitting at the bar and I go, I'm gonna go sing. He looks at me like I had 3 heads and he almost fell off his bar stool and he says, okay, whatever. So I got up and I sang a song, but I'd never gone to karaoke before and I didn't know how it worked. In this particular place, the DJ says to me, well, everybody gets 2 songs. Oh, I didn't think the song that I could sing. So I just sang a song that I'd grown up with in my childhood. I sang it a cappella, because they obviously didn't have the music for it. When I went back to sit down at the bar, Jeff says to me, that was beautiful. Promise me you'll sing that at my funeral. That was in 1992. January 10th of this year, after his first chemo treatment, and it went real bad. We were laying in bed together, just talking stories of over the years and just cuddling, and he says, "Do you remember what song to sing?" I said, "Of course I do." He tapped me on my right shoulder. He said, "I'll be right here, right there with you." I'm not lying. Jeff ended every single day by saying, "Today was a good day." Sometimes I couldn't believe he'd say it, but he would. He'd say, "Today was a good day." So today, it's a good day, babe. Quand le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes et que la nuit rencontre le jour, je suis seule avec mes rêves sur la montagne et les voix me rappellent toujours. Écoute à moi, porte les chansons, tu en rappelles les souvenirs du doigt. Quand le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes, je suis seule, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Now when the sun says good day to the mountains and the night says hello to the dawn, I'm alone with my dreams on a hilltop. I can still hear his voice, though he's gone. I hear from my door love songs through the wind. It brings back sweet memories of you. Quand le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes, je suis seule, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. I love you, Jeff. Thanks, guys. I got through it. Freddie brought this picture because Jeff was always blowing Fred up. And look at on the back. There's a lady finger.
One thing about that solution that I used to put on there,
Yes.
it worked really well, but you couldn't always tell how long it was going to be before it blew up. So you gotta put that down.
If you have one, please raise a glass for my Jeff. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Each one of us has our own image of what heaven would be like for us. For Jeff, I'm sure it would be a tropical beach. So I'm going to dedicate this poem entitled Tropical Paradise to Jeff. The warm wind blows once again. The trees, they sway, and home again. The birds sing their melody. The wind passes through the reeds. The sun sets brighter than I knew, and all my thoughts roll back to you. Tides of water came up so high. Stars go on forever in the night. See them dance along the shore. But nothing is as it was before. There is a beauty all around. The circle turned and came around. Forgotten times do here begin. I turn the page. I have to start again. Another chapter within paradise. I'm walking open with my eyes to all the beauty that senses touch. Need to live and live as such. I'd like to show you where I've been, for it is me inside the wind, searching for you, so you may see all of these things are now inside of me. The warm wind blows once again. The trees, they sway. I'm home again. Rest in peace, Jeff.
Time to eat and drink. Let's have some fun in Jeff's memory, please.